A lot of folks want to break into luxury. They want to get the coldest on the luxury listings. What are the things you should not do?
I've been in real estate for 21 years now, and I've focused on luxury for probably 15 of those years. And what I have learned over time with affluent individuals who are usually also very successful for one reason or another is, this is amazing.
The big question every single agent asks me is, how do you break into the luxury market? And not just how do you break into any luxury market, how do you want to break into it right now? Today, I'm sitting with the king of luxury himself, Mr. Kofi Nartey, and we are sharing this episode with you because we believe that luxury as an asset class in real estate is not only approachable, it's not only accessible, but there is a proven process and a great support system to be able to do this. Kofi, you've been doing this for a long time now, but this is not how you started, right? I remember the stories of condos and HOAs. Like, take us back to that, because I want people to know that it is really approachable and accessible.
100%. Well, first, thanks for having me. It's always good to hang out with you. When I first started in real estate, I started with not only what I knew, but what I had access to. And I think sometimes we can't see beyond what's immediately in front of us. I lived in a townhouse. I was the HOA president. I was like, okay, I'm going to focus on condos and townhomes. This is a segment that I live. This is a segment that I know, and a segment I have access to. At a certain point, though, you realize that your capabilities have outgrown your existing environment. And it creates a little bit of discomfort, and it creates a little bit of desire. And the desire was to level up not only my price points, but the level of clients that I had access to and the ability to work with. So then it was, how do I bridge that gap? How do I create a roadmap? How do I create a blueprint to get from where I am now to where I want it to be?
So I know a lot of people resonate with that, right? They work with the experience and the environment that they have, and that's what gets people started. But was there a time when you were thinking, man, I wish I could do that, or I believe, why does she get to do that, or why does he get to do it, and why can't I? Did you ever think that?
Totally. I'll share a very quick story that I don't think I've ever shared on any podcast anywhere. But there was a brief moment while I was pursuing my acting career, and I was doing these, odd jobs. And one of them was selling life insurance. And so I had my Series 6 and Series 63 so I could sell life insurance. And people talked about your sphere of influence. You work your sphere of influence. Well, my sphere of influence were people just out of school like me, struggling to figure themselves out. And I was crushing it, selling these $50 a month policies, being referred to other people who could do $50 a month policies, and I could barely make a living, And so I had to figure out, how am I going to scale this? It was the same thing with real estate. I looked at where I was, but also, if I'm going to scale this, how am I going to scale it? And looking at other people and what they're doing, there is that immediate response. It's more of a reaction. I'll call it a reaction because it's emotionally based. An immediate reaction that, how did they get there? How do they have access and I don't? But then you have to have the thoughtful response of, I'll figure a way out.
Yeah.
If I take responsibility, I can figure a way out. It may not be their exact path, but I can figure out a way to that destination.
Yeah.
It's going to be my path, and that's what I had to figure out.
So let's get a little tactical, right?
Okay.
And instead of talking about how to break into luxury,
right,
I want to talk about the opposite, because I always like to think about this idea of, if I can make a list of all the things that I should not do, if I can make a list of all the things that I'm guaranteed to fail at my goal, if I just did those things, then I know that I should not just do those things, and I will do okay. A lot of folks want to break into luxury. They want to get the coldest on the luxury listing. They get so excited about a $10 million listing, they're unsure about the business model around it. They're like, man, this takes 3 years to sell, and it's a money pit, and all of that. What are the things that you've seen people do that you recommend against? What are the things you should not do?
Things you should not do. It's a great question. It's a great question. I think about the idea of creating raving fans, right? And one of the things that you don't want to do with affluent clientele is be a fan. So I've seen it where Agents have access to a celebrity. They have access to an entertainer. They have access to a very high net worth business person. I had an agent come up to me at one of our recent networking events, and he said, I was in the suite at an Angels game, and there was this really famous player there, and I wanted to just go up to him and talk to him, and what should I have said? Should I told him, I'm in real estate and this is what I do? I was like, no, that's what not to do, right? And so we had just in that 2-minute conversation that what not to do. Conversation. So I told him the longer you can talk to him without talking about real estate, the more you're going to win.
So good.
The longer you can talk to him and get to know him and keep him talking, the more you're going to win. And then the third part of it was come away with contact information.
Yeah.
Come away with contact information. And then I looked at my fingers. I was like, 1, 2, 3. It's kind of a W.
Yeah.
That's the win.
Yeah.
That's the win, right? And so a lot of times I think we look for the light at the end of the tunnel. And the light at the end of the tunnel is that first luxury listing or that first celebrity client or that first affluent client. And then they show up. And now it's no longer a distant light. It's a bright light and you lose your mind.
Yeah.
But you have to stay the course and double down on the process of what you already know and the enhancements that make it luxury, the enhancements that make it a higher level experience. Not losing your, SHIT because it's this big client, but this is the moment where you calm down and stay married to the process of professionalism, of expertise, of market knowledge that will allow you to be that consummate professional and advisor that they're actually hiring you to be.
You said something super, super insightful where you were coaching this agent on how to have this conversation.
Right.
And for some reason, the folks that get into real estate generally have a high level of charisma. They're drivers, they have a high level of charisma, they're people. They're like, man, I can talk to people. I enjoy being around people.
Yeah.
Therefore, this business is natural for me.
Right.
And in fact, it's not, right? Because we have this natural affinity to doing something, but no one has told us how. And I was speaking to a large audience, and one of the questions from stage was, hey, Sharran, I saw you talking to Steven, I saw you talking to Kofi. Why are you able to have these conversations easily? It's you can have these conversations because it's you. And I was like, what does that even mean? Right? And I think that no one has taught us how to have impactful conversations. And so I want to give everybody a framework for how to have an impactful conversation. And it's a non-manipulative framework. Because most frameworks I've seen is like, oh, let me teach you some NLP. Let me teach you some tie downs. This is none of that, right? Most people want to be interested in the person they're talking to, but they've not been taught the linguistic patterns of how. And so I want to share like a 3-part process, right? Part number 1 is I really love this idea of sorting questions. So you can say, hey, so like a lot of times when I recommend that if you're an agent and you're having an open house, and as somebody walks in, you don't say, hi, I'm Kofi, like what brings you in today? It's an open house. What do you think brought them in today, right? But instead you say, hi, welcome. Did you see the signs or did you find us online? What I've done is I've instantly done a sorting question. Now they have to choose between 2 easy options. So just like saying, hey, if you met somebody at a networking event, you can say, hey, are you staying here for the night or did you drive in? Whatever it may be, right? And so that allows them to pick a path. So the more sorting questions we can ask, the better. But as soon as they pick a path, so if you said, hey, did you see the signs or did you find us online? And I say, I saw the signs. Now I can say, oh, now you can ask a second level sorting question. Oh, you saw the signs. Do you live in the neighborhood? Or are you just visiting somebody? And then they say, well, I live in the neighborhood. Now I have a noun. I live here. The second part of this process is what I call a noun chain. A noun chain is when someone gives you a noun saying, oh, I live in this neighborhood. I live on that street. My wife's name is Mimi. There's a noun. And I can chain around the noun. Oh, Mimi, where did you meet her? So now I can chain around the noun. So now it doesn't feel manipulative in any way. So I take the sorting questions till I can get a noun, and then I get a noun chain. And then you will realize at some point you don't have any more questions to ask around the noun. And then you just transition to the next sorting question. Hey, as you were sharing, I was curious. Both Mimi and you are athletes. Are your children athletes too? Now I've gone to a different question. Oh no, my daughter plays soccer and my son plays volleyball. Oh, and now you can say, but you didn't play soccer or volleyball, did you? And now you got a sorting question again. So it's a sorting question, a noun chain, and a reframe. A sorting question, a noun chain, and a reframe. And what that does is it gives me a way to stay engaged with you, to go deeper with you, and you feel like I'm tracking, you feel heard every single time. And
love
so
it.
it's super non-manipulative
Yeah.
and a way to get a deeper conversation. And it's even more important for the high charismatic folks out there,
Right.
because what you've seen networking events, I'm talking to you and I'm constantly looking
Yeah.
at someone else.
Yeah.
I hate that. Like
Yeah.
that is nothing more irritating than that.
Yeah.
But when you're in this sorting question, noun chain reframe, you are totally dialed into the person.
Yeah.
And it allows you to stay deeply present.
I absolutely love that, because I think in metaphors and analogies and similes, and as you were talking about like going deeper, what came to mind was you're looking for the entrance to the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You want to go down the rabbit hole. You know, I've used the metaphor of the 7-layer dip, and I think it's in part because it's usually sour cream at the top, and maybe that's what it is. I have a dairy allergy, so I can't just do the salad cream. But if we can get past that to the beans and the cheese and all the stuff that's at the bottom, that's when it gets interesting. You get to the guac and it's all mixed in with everything. That's when it's interesting, and that's way down into the rabbit hole. And it takes listening for something that you can go deeper on.
Yeah.
And when you ask them to go deeper, that's when they also open up.
Yeah.
They light up, because the things that are deeper usually are more meaningful to them, and it gives you even more pathways to connect with that person on a real level.
So here's a tough question for you.
Okay.
A lot of these high net worth folks who have access to this higher price point of real estate, they're generally busy people. And a couple of things seem to be common with them. One, they are hard to get a hold of. And so sometimes we take it personally that this high flying entrepreneur didn't text me back right away. Or the second is, a lot of agents will tell me, man, I feel like I'm being disrespectful of their time if I start asking them a lot of questions. So how do you kind of respond to that? Because unless we have good rapport, we as in the real estate professional get seen as just a vendor of sorts and not an advisor.
Right.
But we also know that they're busy.
Right.
So how do you balance between building a relationship without kind of stepping across a line of respecting privacy, time, et cetera?
You know, it's a good question, and in even helping to lead the charge with what we're building with Real, and the luxury division at Real that we have, and the agents who are the founding members and agents who are coming on board to be a part of it, I get to see their gifts in the conversations that I have with them and the gifts that they have with their clients. And what I've noticed, I've been in real estate for 21 years now, and I've focused on luxury for probably 15 of those years. And what I have learned over time with affluent individuals who are usually also very successful for one reason or another is they like working with other successful people. And so if you can come to it, not that you are coming to it with ego, but you're coming to it with a level of professionalism and confidence that this is my lane, I can take this lane and take it off your plate and take care of this for you, almost as I'm a business peer coming from a service standpoint, right? And so if you can come at it from that position, they will also feel much more comfortable letting go of the steering wheel, because now they've given it to the professional driver, which is you, who knows where to go, who knows where the potholes might be and how to avoid them, who knows how to fix the flat, because sometimes the flat happens, and you're ready to do those things. And then you roll the window down and say, you're ready to get back in, we're here, open the door, open it right back up, because we're home. We've done what we're supposed to do. But I think sometimes we miss that opportunity to do that because we just aren't prepared enough. The lack of confidence comes from the lack of preparation. Right? And so I've seen agents who are looking to break in or looking to transition into this, not realizing that the end goal of, wow, he's got these clients, or wow, she's got these listings, or wow, what was the process to get there? Did you see me parked down the street 15 minutes before I was supposed to be there, 30 minutes before I was supposed to be there, an hour driving around the neighborhood so I knew all the burger places and all the hot dog stands and all the private schools and how far it is from the house and the comps and the last 10 properties that sold and the way the pool faces the south and has the light in the morning and not in the, I know all of that. You don't see all of that. You just see the listing pop up, right? But it's that level of detail and that level of expertise that gives me the confidence to sit down with them and know that I'm the professional that's here to take this on.
But who taught you that?
You know what?
Or how did you learn that? That's a better question.
It's a good question. It's a good question. I think that, having played sports helped me quite a bit. I think that, we all have things that we can take from in terms of experience. So sports, the repetition that was necessary and required in sports. Me and my wife, who you know well, we did a podcast on things we learned from sports.
Yeah.
She played in the Women's World Cup
Yeah.
in soccer, and I played American football, and all of the things from hard work to learning your plays to practicing the same plays every single day to find nuances, to get a little bit better, to take your don't start with your arms here, start with them here, or start with them here, or ready to get off the block, whatever it is. All those little details matter. Even in acting, all the little things that I was able to learn from acting. And then I think the other part of it was I did a lot of reading, and I still do, on other people's processes. And I watch you. I listen to the business school podcast, and I hear you speak quite a bit, and I listen for the process. I listen for the nuances. I listen for the frameworks that allow you to process information and convey information much faster because you have the framework that you've created for it. And so if we are given the opportunity to engage with clients, if we're given the opportunity for a luxury listing or a luxury opportunity, what's the work you can put in to make sure you're prepared for that moment? And it's giving yourself both the time and the opportunity to visit and revisit and revisit and revisit before the moment to show up happens.
It's there's a great quote. I don't know who to attribute it to. It says, "How you prepare shows just how much you care."
Right.
And I love that quote so much because I'm like, how much do I care about this opportunity, and how much should I prepare for this opportunity? Right.
That's it.
So I want to switch gears and talk about a project that we've been working on, launch of Real Luxury.
Yes.
And the one conversation that you and I and Dre Madden, our CMO, had up front was this one thing, which is we are done with smoke and mirrors stuff.
Right.
It is very easy, and you and I both know there's numerous companies out there who have a luxury division, which is a luxury logo, which is a logo that looks a little different, and maybe a color scheme that looks a little different, and maybe a sign that looks a little different.
Right.
And that's it. And that is, I'm sorry to say this, that is meant to be in place to appease the ego of a certain agent, but we are demeaning agents when we do that. The agent knows that you're appeasing their ego and that they can't really use the division to help them further their business. They may feel good for 14 seconds, but they realize that they can't utilize this. And that was the baseline in which we started this with.
Right.
And there's a lot of work that went into creating this. So we don't have to break the whole thing down, but how did you think about, what were the key components that you wanted to have in place to make this not feel smoke and mirrorsy?
I think there were several factors that went into the approach. You mentioned Dre Madden, our CMO, and you being involved, and Tamir and Real as a company. I think that there is a culture and an ecosystem and an environment within Real that had to be a part of what we're doing. The name is Real. It's like no pun intended. And so if we're going to do something, we have to do it the right way with attributes of that culture infused in what we're doing. And that means that you look at your background and what you've accomplished and the level that you've accomplished things and the level of detail and effort and hard work, but also just pure, just insane knowledge that has gone into what you're doing. We wanted to make sure that the luxury division had all of that. And you're right. I have been in the business too long, and I've also done a lot of speaking in the industry, a lot of training in the industry, and I see a lot of companies that will create a luxury division, and you sign up for the luxury division by filling out a form on their website. And have you sold any houses? No. Have you ever had a luxury client? No. But you get to now use this luxury logo, to your point. We didn't want that. So part of what we created are really some of the highest standards for membership in the country. I've been at it long enough that I've seen the luxury divisions that are out there and the parameters for membership. We're going to have some of the highest standards for our members. And we already have people on board who are meeting and exceeding those standards with, as a matter of fact, a line of people who are now ready to engage and bring their luxury business to Real, which we're super excited about. But beyond that, once you get in the room, once you are part of the division, then it's that now what question, right? Where's the substance? Where's the meat and potatoes? And now we've been able to deliver on all of that. Like part of what all of the planning and you were part of the meetings and Dre and all of the partnerships that we were able to bring to the table have created this very robust list of offerings for, it's the two clients, The one client being the agents
Right.
who are part of it, who Real is now going to service through the luxury division. How do we add to their business, make it better? And then now the agents get to take these tools and present those to their clients. How do we share luxury listings, not nationally, but also internationally? How do we share them in different languages? How do we network and utilize your database and my database? You get a luxury listing in Dallas, all of my clients in California, Vegas, all the places I have access to, they're now going to see it because that's part of how we've structured our luxury division. You know, everything from the marketing tools to the marketing assets to the actual reach and the actual activation for the listings. It's all dialed in. I won't give away all the secrets.
No, it's
here.
good. So this brings me to a tactical question, which is marketing.
Yes.
A lot of real estate agents get into the business and they say, well, they enjoy the process of marketing. I've seen agents who will spend 3, 4, 5 days building a brochure, and then they send the brochure out and they're like, I didn't get any activity from this.
Right.
I think it's okay because we also should do the things that bring us a lot of joy. From a luxury mindset, how do you think about marketing? Is this a marketing Kofi? Is it marketing the listing? Is it marketing the opportunity? Is it a little bit of both? Is there a story behind it? What advice could you give somebody that they could use across the board from a marketing perspective?
So from a marketing perspective, you have to look at what is going to create the largest top of the funnel possible, right? Because once you have the largest top of the funnel, you can filter people kind of where you want them to go. But what is the superlative? What is the most unique thing you can say? What is the differentiator? Sometimes, you know, like I've been fortunate enough to build a brand where my brand is also part of the differentiation. But then certain properties that I have, that's the biggest, you know, marketing tool, like the Jordan estate, like that's the biggest marketing tool I could have ever had working in the sports and entertainment and celebrity real estate space. So we look at how do we put together the metaphor I use is we want to create the biggest marketing rock. So all of the story, all of the superlatives, all of the adjectives, and we want to drop it in the most appropriate pond, right? And it's a pond because it's not an ocean of buyers.
Yeah.
The buyers that we're looking for are in a pond somewhere. And so we want to create a big marketing story and pitch, but we want to put it in the right pond. And then we also want to give ourselves time for the ripples to hit the shore, right? So the marketing to have its impact and have its effect on those people. Now with luxury, the one part that I would say is very nuanced in terms of the way we approach it is it's a lot more rifle approach than shotgun approach, right? So you might fire the shotgun, boom, everybody's heard the noise, and then you tap the people on the shoulder and say, I know you heard that, come this way, right? And that's the difference with luxury. And the more shoulders that we get to tap, that's the big, the advantage of having a big database and the advantage of having now with Real a national luxury division of all these agents where I could tap that agent, now they're tapping their clients, and now my luxury listing here is being not syndicated, because syndicated is just mass, which is also important,
of course,
but it's also being whispered in the ears of those who really could be buyers for the property.
You said something so elegantly, and I want to kind of reaffirm that for everyone. Of all the things that we could talk about when it comes to marketing, you nailed the idea of, hey, I'm creating exposure on the top of the funnel.
Right.
Right. And you didn't say anything about use this piece or use this asset or do this Matterport or do this brochure or make this video or have this a cocktail part reception with a, for a broker's open. You didn't say any of that. You talked about how to create top of the funnel exposure. And I think that's what I want a lot of people to get out of this, which is sometimes people forget the definition of marketing, right? In a lot of ways, I think as simplistically about it as sales is what you do when you're on the phone or face-to-face.
Right.
Marketing is to get people on the phone or face-to-face,
exactly.
right? So the entire job of marketing is get to have people raise their hands. And that may be a tap on the shoulder, that may be a loud bang, something that gets somebody to say, whoa, 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 I'm interested.
Right.
The job is not to like put out a piece of marketing and have somebody just buy the house. The job is to open the top of the funnel and get somebody to raise their hand. So if you want to think about marketing in some way, like dial into what Kofi just said. He said, the job is to open up the top of the funnel and get somebody to raise their hand so that you can then sell, so that you can do whatever you can on the phone or face-to-face.
Right.
Please don't confuse and combine those two activities because the job of marketing is to just get hand raises.
Yeah.
And the job of sales is to take those hand raises, take those maybes, and convert them to a yes. And when you know exactly what to do, you also know which skill you're lacking.
Right.
So a lot of times we'll get opportunities and we can't convert them. That's okay. That's just a skill conversion problem. You actually get the right framing, the right presentation, you'll get a lot more output. But if you're not getting any hand raises, that means your marketing is not working.
Right.
So now you actually know how to diagnose the problem overall.
Exactly.
I want to ask you this to kind of finish up, which is whether you're whether you're already selling luxury or aspiring to sell luxury, one thing that all agents want to do is they would love to see a little bit of bump in their price point, right? Because they're like, hey, I'm doing this effort anyway on a $400,000 house. Can I get more opportunities at an $800,000 house? And I'll work just as hard. In fact, I'll work harder. If you had to say, if you had to talk to somebody about kind of increasing price point and getting some more upscaling price point exposure, what would be an idea or two that you would share with them?
Be bigger than your place. Be bigger than your place. It's something that my wife and I talk about all the time. And what we mean by that is if you're given the opportunity at the $500,000 listing, treat it like a $750,000.
That's good.
If you get the $750,000, treat it like $1 million listing. Challenge yourself to say, if I had a $1.5 million listing, what would I do differently? And the next time you get a $700,000 listing, do that. Do the 1.5 game plan. And it will create the 1.5 opportunity. Because now the person who sees what you're doing, who sees the marketing assets, who sees the effort, who sees the expertise, who sees how excellent and polished it is, can only assume that working with you is going to give them that experience. If they don't see that, the assumption is going to be, well, they sell $500,000 homes. That looks like a $500,000 marketing plan. That's what they do. But it's a $500,000 home. It looks like $1 million marketing plan.
Yeah.
They can sell my $1 million place.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
I want to bring this home with people are thinking about, man, he's Kofi, he can do that, I can't. And everyone sees you, and we perceive others for where they are today. We see a Gary Vaynerchuk or a Tony Robbins, and we try to mimic what they are doing right now. And I bet there's folks out there saying, well, I'll just mimic what Kofi's doing because someone told me to rip off and duplicate. Well, rip off and duplicate bad, right? I think that a lot of folks are thinking, well, if Kofi's doing that, I should do that. But I have a deeper question. What did Kofi do to get here? What was something you did 10 plus years ago, and you, as you look back, you're glad that you did? So what is that thing?
Yeah. I think that there are two different sides of that coin, right? I think that there were the actual things that I needed to do, like understanding the markets that I wanted to go into, understanding the average price per square foot, understanding the lifestyle, understanding the avatar of the client who was going to be there. Then the other part was the mental work, the mental preparation. Like I have a lot of conversations with agents, and the idea of imposter syndrome comes up quite a bit. Like, what if I'm not ready for this? What if I'm not ready to go into that price point? Or do I have to live the same lifestyle to, well, no. You have to have the expertise and have the wisdom and have the market knowledge to service that clientele. And the great thing about that is the information is available and accessible. We just have to put in the work. If I asked you, Sharran, to tell me about the market in Portland, right? In an hour, you're going to kill it.
Yeah.
If I tell you right now, maybe not.
Right.
If I give you a week, game over.
Right.
If I send you there for a month,
even better.
Even better, right? So we often have not only the opportunity, but we have the runway of preparation, and we're not taking advantage of all the things that we need to do to get there. That work does half the battle for you for the mental side of it, because that preparation eliminates the anxiety, eliminates the stress, because now you know what you're doing and you just want the opportunity to showcase it.
Yeah, so good. Here's what I will tell you. As you can tell, success leaves clues. Kofi shared so many things, what he's done that has helped him, both the turns he's taken, maybe not the right way, but also the more positive way. But I'll tell you one thing that's even more important, the one thing that I want to leave you with. Success leaves clues is one thing, but I have a better phrase for you. Success loves speed. When we get a chance to watch something like this, we think, I'll do that later. I'll connect with Kofi later. I'll join his program later. Oh, I'll talk to him about Real later. Oh, I'll actually implement his ideas later. I offer you this one thing: success loves speed. Success loves speed. So if there is something that you want to do from today, drop a comment or reach out to Kofi or join his coaching program or find a way to partner with him at Rail. The ideas here are not just profound, but they're good for you. So remember, success loves speed.